This is HOA debrief. I saved every receipt and every timestamp. I am standing in my driveway at 6:45 in the morning, still holding the snowblower handle, and Linda is already screaming at me from the sidewalk. "You are in violation of winter quiet hours," she shouts, jabbing a clipboard at me like it is a weapon. "The association enacted them last month and you just earned yourself a $200 fine." I can see her breath fogging in the freezing air, and behind her a tow truck is idling at the curb, with its amber lights flashing. "If you refuse to comply, we will escalate to vehicle removal for non-compliance," she says, and she taps the clipboard twice for emphasis. The truck driver is leaning against the cab with his arms crossed, looking uncomfortable, and I realize this is not a warning visit. This is a power play with a tow hook already attached. I live in Fairbanks, Alaska, in a neighborhood called Glacier Point Reserve, and the Homeowners Association here treats winter like a compliance laboratory. I am a network engineer, which means I work night shifts monitoring server uptime and access logs, and I understand exactly how audit trails work. I moved here because the rent was cheaper than Anchorage and the internet backbone is solid, but the HOA has a reputation for weaponizing snow rules. Linda is the treasurer, and she has a stack of pre-filled forms clipped to her board at all times like she is handing out tickets at a carnival. The forms have no readable text from this distance, but I have seen them up close before. Violation notice, fee assessment, compliance hearing notice. She cycles through them faster than the weather changes. Linda takes a step closer, boots crunching on the ice, and she tilts her head like she is daring me to argue. "If you make me repeat myself, it gets more expensive," she says. That is her favorite line. I have heard it 3 times in the past 2 months, always delivered with the same smug cadence. I glance at the tow truck driver and he looks away fast, like he does not want to be part of this. I have to be on the road in 40 minutes because my shift starts at 8 and the next round of freezing rain is forecast for 9, which means the highway will turn into a skating rink if I wait. I cannot afford to be late. My boss already warned me that attendance issues mean termination, no exceptions, and gate access problems count as attendance issues. I turn off the snowblower and pull off one glove so I can check my phone. Linda immediately steps forward. "Do not ignore me," she snaps. "I am issuing a formal citation and you are required to acknowledge receipt." I look up and she is holding out a violation notice on a clipboard, the form flapping in the wind. I can see the header, but no details are readable from here. I stayed polite, because polite makes bullies careless, and I have been collecting evidence since the first time she tried this routine. "What quiet hours?" I ask, keeping my voice level. "The community rules say equipment noise is prohibited between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. It is 6:45. She does not blink. "Winter amendments override standard hours," she says. "Quiet hours begin at 6 a.m. during snow emergency periods to protect resident wellness." I have read the rulebook 4 times and there is no winter amendment. I know because I downloaded the PDF from the association portal last week and saved a time-stamped copy to my cloud backup. But I do not say that yet. Instead, I ask, "Can I see the amendment text?" Linda's expression hardens. "You are not entitled to challenge enforcement in the field," she says. "You will pay the fee. Then you will pay the fee about the fee if you file an appeal." That is the line that stuck with me. The fee about the fee. It is so absurd it sounds like a threat from a parking meter, but she delivers it with absolute confidence. The tow truck driver shifts his weight and I catch his eye for half a second. He shakes his head just slightly, like he is apologizing without words. Linda turns toward the truck and waves one hand in a tight circle, like she is directing air traffic. "You can hook it up," she calls out. He is in violation and the vehicle is subject to immediate removal under association emergency powers. The driver does not move. "Ma'am," he says slowly, "I need to see the authorization paperwork before I can tow from private property." Linda spins back toward him, clipboard raised. "I am the treasurer and I am authorizing it right now," she shouts. He shakes his head again. "I need a signed tow order from the property manager or the board president," he says. She makes a noise somewhere between a growl and a sigh, then pulls a phone out of her coat pocket and starts typing furiously with her thumbs. I take the opportunity to step back toward my front door, but she notices immediately. "Stay where you are," she barks. "You are not dismissed." I stop and turn around, keeping my hands visible and my posture neutral. I work in IT compliance, which means I know how to stay calm when someone is trying to provoke a reaction they can use against me. Linda finishes typing and puts the phone away, then pulls a pen from her coat pocket and scribbles something on the clipboard. She tears off the top sheet, walks over, and shoves it at me. "This is your notice," she says. "You have 72 hours to pay or we proceed to lien filing." I take the paper and glance at it. The fine amount is printed clearly, $200, but the violation code is just a number with no description. I fold it once and put it in my jacket pocket without saying anything. Linda steps back and crosses her arms, and I can see the stack of pre-filled forms tucked under her elbow. "You will comply with winter protocols or you will lose vehicle access," she says. "The gate code will be deactivated for repeat offenders and you will not receive advance notice." That is a direct threat to my job. If I cannot get through the neighborhood gate, I cannot leave for work, and if I cannot leave for work, I am fired. I swallow the anger and keep my voice even. "I will review the citation and respond through proper channels," I say. She smirks. "Proper channels are me," she says. "I am the compliance officer for winter operations and all disputes go through my desk first," which means she controls the evidence, the timeline, and the appeal process. It is a perfect closed loop. The tow truck driver climbs back into his cab and I hear the engine rev slightly. Linda glances over and frowns, then walks toward him with her phone out again. I use the moment to pull out my own phone and open the doorbell camera app. I installed a camera over my front door 3 weeks ago after Linda left a notice at 11 p.m. and claimed I had refused a daytime inspection I was never told about. The camera has been recording everything since then, including this entire confrontation. I tap the share button and send the last 10 minutes of footage to my personal email with a timestamp note. The upload bar crawls across the screen and I keep one eye on Linda while it finishes. She is leaning into the truck window now, gesturing with one hand and pointing back at my car. The driver is shaking his head and I can see his mouth moving, but I cannot hear what he is saying over the wind. After a moment, Linda pulls back and slams her palm on the truck door, then storms back toward me. "He refuses to comply," she announces, like I am supposed to do something about it. I just nod. She stares at me for a long moment, then turns and walks toward her own car, which is parked 2 houses down with the engine running and the exhaust pluming white in the cold. Before she gets in, she turns back and shouts, "This is not over. You are on the watch list now." Then she drives off, tires crunching over the icy slush. The tow truck driver waits until she is out of sight, then climbs out of the cab and walks over. "Look," he says quietly, "I do not know what is going on with your HOA, but that lady calls us 2 or 3 times a month for jobs that do not check out. No signed orders, no proof of violation, just her word." My dispatcher is getting tired of it. I nod and he continues. "She tried to get me to hook your car without paperwork, and when I said no, she threatened to switch vendors." I pull out my phone and show him the doorbell footage. He watches for a few seconds, then lets out a low whistle. "You might want to keep that," he says. "If she files a complaint against us, that is going to be useful." I send him a copy on the spot and he gives me his card. "If you need a statement, call me," he says. Then he climbs back into the truck and drives off. I finish clearing my driveway in silence, then go inside to change for work. My shift starts in 30 minutes and I need to leave in 10 if I want any margin for ice patches on the highway. I pour coffee into a thermos, grab my laptop bag and head out. The neighborhood gate opens when I punch in my code, which means Linda has not deactivated it yet, but I know that threat was not empty. I drive to work with the heater cranked and my mind racing through the next steps. I need to pull the association rules document, verify there is no winter amendment, and then figure out how to prove Linda invented the quiet hours violation. The problem is that all the HOA documents are hosted on a portal she manages, and I already know from experience that things disappear from that portal when they become inconvenient. 2 weeks ago, I uploaded a photo of the community plow leaving a 4-foot ice berm across my driveway, blocking my car in completely. I documented the time, the plow truck number, and the fact that the HOA contractor left without clearing the obstruction. I submitted it as a service complaint through the portal with a request for reimbursement since I had to pay a private service to remove it. The next day, the upload was gone. No record, no receipt, no acknowledgement. When I called the management company, they said they had no complaint on file and suggested I must have forgotten to submit it. I resubmitted with screenshots proving the original upload, and Linda called me personally to say that fraudulent complaints result in automatic fines. That was when I started keeping offline backups of everything. I get to work and log into the server monitoring dashboard, but my head is not in it. I keep thinking about the tow truck and Linda's face when the driver refused her. She is used to people caving immediately, and when they do not, she escalates fast. I have seen her do it to other residents in the neighborhood group chat, which she uses like a public shaming board. Last month, she posted a photo of a neighbor's trash can still out at noon on collection day, with a caption about respect for community standards. The neighbor responded with a screenshot showing the collection truck had not arrived until 1 p.m., and Linda banned him from the chat and fined him $50 for disrespectful communication. The fine stuck because the rulebook has a vague clause about maintaining civil discourse in official channels, and Linda gets to define what counts as uncivil. At lunch, I pull up the HOA portal on my work laptop and navigate to the rules section. The quiet hours clause is still there, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., no exceptions listed. I scroll through every subsection looking for winter amendments and find nothing. I download the entire rulebook as a PDF and save 3 copies, one to my work cloud, one to my personal email, and one to a USB drive I keep in my laptop bag. Then I check the upload history for my complaint about the plow berm. It is gone again, even though I resubmitted it with screenshots. I take a screenshot of the empty complaint log and add it to my evidence folder. My phone buzzes and I see a notification from the neighborhood group chat. Linda has posted a new message. Reminder to all residents, winter emergency protocols are in effect. Noise violations will be enforced immediately, and repeat offenders face vehicle removal and gate access suspension. Compliance is not optional. Below the message is a photo of my driveway taken this morning showing me standing next to the snowblower. I am visible in the frame, and the timestamp in the corner says 6:42 a.m. I stare at the photo for a long moment, then scroll up through the chat history to see if anyone responds. 2 neighbors react with a thumbs up emoji. No one pushes back. I type out a response asking for clarification on the winter quiet hours policy and requesting a link to the amendment text. I hit send and watch the message appear in the chat. 10 seconds later, it vanishes. I refresh the app and it is gone completely, like I never sent it. I try again with a shorter message just asking for the policy link and the same thing happens. I take screenshots of both attempts, then close the app. Linda is moderating the chat in real time and deleting anything that questions her authority. At the end of my shift, I drive home through the freezing rain, which has started early and turned the highway into a slick mess. Traffic is crawling and I watch 2 cars slide off into the shoulder within a mile of each other. By the time I get back to the neighborhood, the streets are glazed and my tires are barely gripping. I pull into my driveway and see a new notice taped to my front door. I get out, peel it off, and read it under the porch light. Notice of non-compliance. Failure to break up ice debris left by association snow removal services. Resident is required to clear all ice chunks from driveway apron within 24 hours of plow service or face additional fines. I look down at the driveway apron and see what she is talking about. The plow came through again while I was at work and left another pile of jagged ice chunks at the end of my driveway, right where the pavement meets the street. The chunks are frozen solid and would take an hour to break up with a hammer, assuming I do not wreck the asphalt in the process. If you are enjoying this chaos, hit the like button and subscribe, because this HOA war is just getting started. I go inside and drop my bag, then walk back out with my phone to document the ice pile. I take photos from 4 angles, making sure the timestamp is visible in each shot, then measure the largest chunk with a tape measure I keep in my trunk. 14 inches across, 8 inches thick, frozen to the pavement. I am not breaking that up tonight, and I am definitely not doing it in the dark while freezing rain is actively falling. I go back inside and draft an email to the HOA management company with the photos attached. I explain that the plow contractor created the obstruction and that I am requesting they remove it as part of their service obligations. I hit send and get an auto reply saying the office is closed until Monday. It is Thursday night. I heat up leftovers and sit down at my kitchen table with my laptop. I need a plan, because Linda is not going to stop. She has already threatened my gate access, authorized a tow without proper paperwork, deleted my complaints from the portal, and censored my messages in the group chat. Now she is fining me for damage caused by the HOA's own contractor. Every move is designed to stack violations and fees until I either pay up or make a mistake she can use to justify harsher penalties. I open a spreadsheet and start building a timeline. Every notice, every fine, every conversation, every deleted upload. I cross-reference it with my doorbell footage, my phone records, and the screenshots I have been hoarding. A pattern emerges fast. Linda targets people who work nights or irregular hours because they are less likely to attend board meetings or file complaints in person. She uses the portal as a weapon, deleting evidence and backdating entries to cover her tracks. And she has a cozy relationship with at least 2 vendors, the plow company and the towing company, both of whom get called for enforcement actions that do not hold up under scrutiny. I pull up the towing company's website and find a customer service number. I call it and get a recording, but I leave a message explaining that I am a Glacier Point resident and I need copies of any service requests or authorizations filed for my address in the past 6 months. I mention that I am working with an attorney, which is not true yet but might be soon, and I give my email address. Then I do the same thing with the plow company, requesting service logs and contractor agreements. I know Linda does not expect anyone to do this kind of legwork, because most people do not have the time or the patience. But I do, and I have the skills to organize it into something a lawyer or a management company cannot ignore. Friday morning, I wake up to another notice taped to my door. This one is different. It is not a violation. It is a hearing notice. You are required to appear before the Glacier Point Reserve Association Board on Monday at 7 p.m. to address multiple compliance failures. Failure to appear will result in automatic penalty assessment and immediate suspension of community privileges. I read it twice, then checked my work schedule. I am on shift Monday night, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. If I go to the hearing, I will be late for work. If I skip the hearing, Linda will suspend my gate access and I will not be able to leave for work at all. It is a trap with no good exit. I call my supervisor and explain the situation. He is not sympathetic. You have already used 2 shift swaps this month, he says. If you call out Monday, you are getting written up, and one more write-up is termination. I hang up and stare at the hearing notice. I have 3 days to figure out how to be in 2 places at once, or I lose my job. I spend the rest of Friday documenting everything I can. I walk the neighborhood and take photos of every frosted photo clipped to the board at the clubhouse entrance. The photos are part of Linda's signature enforcement style. She prints violations and posts them publicly with captions like "Non-compliance documented" or "Standards enforcement in progress." There are 6 photos up right now, all showing different residents with violations ranging from trash cans left out to snow piled too close to the curb. My photo is there too, the one from the group chat, with a handwritten note below it that says "Quiet hours violation, active investigation." I photograph the entire board, then walk back home and upload everything to my evidence folder. My phone rings and I see a number I do not recognize. I answer and hear a woman's voice. Hi, this is calling from the towing company. I got your message and I wanted to let you know we cannot release service records without a legal subpoena. But I can tell you that we have been having issues with the Glacier Point account. If you want to file a formal complaint, you can send it to our compliance department and they will investigate. I thank her and ask if she can confirm whether a tow was authorized for my address yesterday morning. She pauses. I cannot confirm specifics, but I can tell you that our driver refused to proceed because the authorization was not valid. If someone told you we were towing your vehicle, that was not accurate. I thank her again and hang up. That is the first crack. Linda authorized a tow she had no legal authority to call, and the towing company knows it. If I can get a statement from the driver, I have proof of abuse of power. I text the number on the card he gave me and ask if he is willing to provide a written statement about what happened Thursday morning. He responds within 10 minutes. Yes, I have been wanting to say something for a while. Your HOA has been a problem account for over a year. I will send you a statement this weekend. I save the text and add it to the timeline. Saturday, I get an email from the plow company. It is a form letter saying they cannot release contractor logs without a signed release from the property manager. But they include a generic service schedule showing that plows run between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. on snow days. And drivers are instructed to leave cleared snow at the edge of driveways unless specifically contracted otherwise. I forward it to my evidence folder and add a note. HOA contractor policy confirms ice debris is their responsibility, not residents. That contradicts Linda's notice requiring me to break up the ice chunks. Sunday morning, I sit down and write out my defense for the Monday hearing. I print copies of the rulebook showing no winter quiet hours amendment. I print the doorbell footage timestamps. I print the tow truck driver's text offering a statement. I print the plow company's email. I print screenshots of my deleted portal uploads. I print the group chat messages that vanished. I put it all in a folder and practice walking through it out loud, timing myself to keep it under 10 minutes. I know Linda will try to control the meeting, interrupt me, and shut me down before I can present anything. I need to be fast, clear, and impossible to dismiss. At 6 p.m. Sunday, I get a text from an unknown number. This is your neighbor 2 doors down. I saw what Linda posted about you in the chat. She has been doing this to people for months. If you want to witness at the meeting tomorrow, let me know. I will back you up. I stare at the message for a long moment, then text back asking who this is. The reply comes fast. My name is Jason. I had the trash can thing last month. She fined me and then deleted my appeal. I know how she operates. I text him back and say yes, I would appreciate the support. He sends a thumbs up emoji. Monday evening, I drive to the clubhouse at 6:45. The hearing is supposed to start at 7, but I want to be early so Linda cannot claim I missed it. The parking lot is nearly empty. I see Linda's car and one other vehicle I do not recognize. I walk inside and find Linda setting up a folding table at the front of the room with a stack of pre-filled forms and a laptop. She looks up when I walk in and her expression hardens. "You are early," she says. I nod. "I wanted to make sure I did not miss anything," I reply. She does not respond, just goes back to arranging papers. At 7 p.m. exactly, 2 board members walk in. I recognize one of them from the annual meeting last year. An older man who rarely speaks. The other is a woman in her 50s who I have never seen before. Linda stands and calls the meeting to order. "We are here to address multiple compliance violations by the resident," she says, gesturing at me without using my name. The violations include noise ordinance breach, failure to maintain driveway clearance, refusal to comply with winter emergency protocols, and disrespectful communication in official channels. She ticks them off on her fingers like she is reading a grocery list. I am recommending immediate suspension of gate access and a lien filing for unpaid fines totaling $600. I raise my hand. Linda ignores me. The board has reviewed the evidence, she continues, and we find the violations to be substantiated. The resident will have 72 hours to pay all outstanding fines or face additional penalties. I stand up. Excuse me, I say loudly. I am entitled to present a defense. The older board member nods. Let him speak, he says. Linda's jaw tightens, but she gestures at me. You have 5 minutes, she says. I walk to the front and pull out my folder. First, I say the quiet hours violation. I hand copies of the rulebook page to each board member. The current rule states equipment noise is prohibited between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. I was using my snowblower at 6:45 a.m., which is within the allowed window. Linda claimed there is a winter amendment moving quiet hours to 6 a.m., but no such amendment exists. I have the full rulebook here downloaded directly from the association portal, and there is no winter quiet hours policy. The board members flip through the pages. The woman frowns. Linda, is there an amendment we are missing? She asks. Linda does not miss a beat. The amendment was posted in the newsletter last month, she says. It is effective immediately. I pull out another sheet. I have every newsletter from the past year, I say. There is no mention of amended quiet hours in any of them. Linda's face flushes red. You are misrepresenting the facts, she snaps. I have documentation that you were notified. I shake my head. If you have documentation, please provide it now so the board can review it. She does not produce anything. I move on. Second, the driveway clearance violation. I hand out photos of the ice berm left by the HOA plow contractor. The association's plow service created this obstruction and left it blocking my driveway. I submitted a complaint through the portal requesting removal, and the complaint was deleted. I resubmitted with screenshots proving the original upload, and it was deleted again. I also received a notice demanding I break up the ice chunks myself, even though the plow company's own policy states debris removal is their responsibility. I hand out the plow company email. The older board member looks at Linda. Why are we fining residents for contractor mistakes, he asks. Linda crosses her arms. The resident is required to maintain the driveway apron, she says. That includes clearing any debris, regardless of source. The board member shakes his head. That is not how our contract works, he says. If the plow leaves a mess, the contractor is supposed to come back and fix it. Linda does not respond. I continue. Third, the tow attempt. I pull out my phone and cue up the doorbell footage. On Thursday morning, Linda authorized a tow truck to remove my vehicle without proper paperwork. The driver refused because there was no signed tow order from the property manager or board president. I have his statement here confirming that Linda has been calling the company repeatedly for unauthorized tows. I hand out the printed statement from the driver. The board members read it in silence. The woman looks up. Linda, did you authorize a tow without board approval? She asks. Linda stands abruptly. I was acting within my authority as compliance officer, she says. The resident was in violation and I took appropriate action. The woman shakes her head. You do not have unilateral authority to order tows, she says. That requires board approval and a signed order. Linda opens her mouth to argue, but the door opens and Jason walks in. Sorry I am late, he says. I am here to provide a witness statement. Linda spins toward him. This is a closed hearing, she snaps. He is not on the agenda. The older board member waves him forward. If he has relevant information, we will hear it, he says. Jason walks to the front and pulls out his phone. Linda has been manipulating the portal and deleting complaints for months, he says. I filed an appeal last month and it disappeared. I have screenshots showing the upload and screenshots showing it was removed. He hands printouts to the board members. She also banned me from the group chat and fined me for asking questions. I have the chat logs here proving I was censored. Linda is shaking now. This is a coordinated attack, she says. You are both colluding to undermine association governance. I stay calm. We are both residents who documented our interactions because the system was being abused, I say. That is not collusion, that is self-defense. The woman at the table closes the folder in front of her and looks at Linda. I think we need to pause this hearing and conduct an audit of the compliance process, she says. There are too many irregularities here. Linda slams her hand on the table. You are overstepping, she shouts. I am the treasurer and I have full authority over enforcement. The woman stands. No, you do not, she says. The board votes on enforcement policy and the property manager executes it. You have been acting outside your role. The older board member nods. I move to suspend all pending fines and gate access restrictions pending a full audit, he says. The woman seconds it. Linda looks at both of them, then grabs her laptop and storms out of the room. The door slams behind her and the remaining board members sit in silence for a moment. I am sorry you had to deal with this, the woman says to me. We will get it sorted out. I thank her and leave with Jason. Outside in the parking lot, he grins. That was amazing, he says. You had everything. I shrug. I work in IT, I tell him. I know how to keep logs. Tuesday, I get an email from the property management company. We have been made aware of compliance irregularities within the Glacier Point Reserve Association, and we are conducting a full review of all enforcement actions taken in the past 12 months. All pending fines and penalties have been suspended pending the outcome of the review. If you have additional documentation you would like to submit, please reply to this email. I forward my entire evidence folder, then sit back and wait. Wednesday, the tow truck driver calls me. Hey, he says. I do not know what you did, but my boss just told me we are dropping the Glacier Point account. Apparently, the management company reached out and asked for records, and when we sent them over, they saw all the unauthorized requests Linda made. They canceled the contract. I thank him and hang up, then check the neighborhood group chat. Linda has not posted anything since Monday. The chat is quiet. Thursday morning, I am finishing breakfast when someone knocks on my door. I open it and find the older board member standing there with a folder. I wanted to update you in person, he says. We completed the audit and found that Linda has been abusing her access to the portal and issuing fines without board approval for over a year. She has also been receiving kickbacks from the plow company in exchange for directing all snow removal work to them, even though their contract expired 6 months ago. The board voted last night to remove her from the treasurer position and refer the financial irregularities to our attorney. I stare at him. What happens now, I ask. He hands me the folder. All fines issued by Linda without board approval are being voided, he says. You will receive a formal letter within the week. We are also implementing new oversight procedures to make sure this does not happen again. I open the folder and see a summary of the audit findings. Linda issued over $40,000 in fines over the past year, most of them targeting residents who work irregular hours or who filed complaints against her enforcement actions. She deleted at least 15 portal uploads and banned 6 residents from the group chat for questioning her authority. She also staged photos to make violations look worse than they were, including taking pictures of my snowblower from an angle that made it look closer to a neighbor's window than it actually was. The audit lists every single manipulation with timestamps and evidence. Friday afternoon, I get another email, this time from an attorney representing the HOA. I open it with my stomach tight, expecting more threats, but the content is completely different. It is a letter informing the board that the firm is declining to continue representation due to evidence of misconduct by association leadership. The letter does not name Linda directly, but it is clear who they are referring to. The attorney writes that they cannot ethically support enforcement actions that were taken without proper authority and that appear to involve financial impropriety. The board is advised to seek new legal counsel and to cooperate fully with any investigations. I forward the email to my evidence folder, then lean back in my chair. That is the trump card I did not even know I had. The HOA's own attorney walked away because of what Linda did, and now the board has no choice but to clean house. I think about all the times Linda said, "If you make me repeat myself, it gets more expensive," and how she tried to intimidate me into paying fines that were never legitimate. She built her power on the assumption that no one would push back hard enough to expose her. But I did, because I stayed polite and I kept receipts. Saturday, I am shoveling the fresh snow from my front walk when Linda pulls up in her car. She gets out and walks toward me, and I brace for another confrontation, but her posture is different. Deflated. She stops a few feet away and does not say anything for a long moment. I lean on the shovel and wait. Finally, she speaks. "You cost me my position," she says quietly. I shake my head. "You cost yourself your position," I reply. "You abused your authority and got caught." She looks at the ground. "I was trying to keep the neighborhood safe," she says. I almost laugh. "You were trying to control people," I say. "There is a difference." She does not argue. Instead, she pulls an envelope from her coat pocket and holds it out. "This is a refund check for all the fines I issued to you," she says. "The board required it as part of my resignation agreement." I take the envelope and open it. The check is for $600. I fold it and put it in my jacket pocket. Linda turns and walks back to her car without another word. I watch her drive away, then go back to shoveling. The snow is heavy and wet, and my arms are already sore, but I do not mind. It feels like closure. Monday morning, I get a group email from the property management company. It goes to every resident in Glacier Point Reserve. The email announces that Linda has resigned from the board effective immediately, and that the association is implementing new compliance oversight procedures. All fines issued in the past 12 months without board approval are being reviewed and voided where appropriate. Residents who paid fines that are later voided will receive refunds. The email also announces that the plow contract has been rebid and a new vendor has been selected. Finally, the email states that the neighborhood group chat will be moderated by a neutral third party going forward to ensure compliance with community standards and free speech protections. I read it twice, then forward it to Jason with a short note. "We did it." He replies immediately. "Hell, yes, we did." That evening, I drive to work with a clear head for the first time in weeks. The gate code works. There are no notices on my door. The highway is still icy, but I take my time and make it to the office 5 minutes early. My supervisor nods when I walk in. "Glad you are here," he says. "I need you to cover an extra monitoring shift next week if you are available." I say yes, because now I can actually plan my schedule without worrying that the HOA will lock me out or tow my car overnight. Tuesday, the neighborhood group chat lights up with messages from other residents. People are sharing their own stories of Linda's abuse, fines for holiday decorations that were within the rules, fines for parking in guest spots, fines for trash cans placed 6 inches outside the designated zone. One resident posts a photo of a notice Linda left at 3 a.m., claiming a porch light was too bright. Another posts a recording of a voicemail where Linda threatens to file a lien if a fine is not paid within 24 hours, even though the resident was out of town and could not have received the notice. The stories keep coming, and it becomes clear that Linda targeted dozens of people over the past 2 years. The new board president replies to the thread with a promise to review every case individually. Wednesday, I get a call from the tow truck driver. "I wanted to give you an update," he says. "After we dropped the Glacier Point account, the management company asked us to pull all the records for the past year. We found 23 tow requests from Linda, and only 4 of them had proper authorization. The rest were just her calling and claiming she had board approval. My company is refunding the charges for every improper tow, and we have flagged her name in our system so she cannot do this to another HOA." I thank him and he laughs. "No thank you," he says. "You got the ball rolling and it cleaned up a mess we have been dealing with for a long time." Thursday, I am sitting in my living room when Jason texts me. "Did you see the new board meeting agenda? Linda is trying to appeal her removal and she is demanding a public hearing." I pull up the association website and see the agenda posted. There is a line item for a special session next Monday to address a former board member appeal. I text Jason back. Are you going? He replies immediately. Absolutely. This should be good. Monday evening, I walk into the clubhouse and find it packed. Every chair is filled and people are standing along the walls. Linda is sitting in the front row with a lawyer beside her. The board president calls the meeting to order and explains that Linda has requested an opportunity to address her removal. Linda stands and walks to the front. She does not have any papers or notes. She just starts talking. I dedicated 2 years of my life to this association, she says. I enforced the rules fairly and consistently, and I was removed because a small group of residents conspired against me. Her voice is rising. I was targeted because I held people accountable, and now the board is trying to cover up their own failures by scapegoating me. The board president interrupts. Linda, you were removed because the audit found multiple violations of your fiduciary duties and evidence of financial misconduct. Linda shakes her head. That audit was biased, she says. It was conducted by people who wanted me gone. The board president holds up a folder. The audit was conducted by an independent third-party firm, and it documented 46 separate instances of unauthorized fines, 12 deleted portal uploads, and 6 cases of vendor kickbacks. Do you dispute any of those findings? Linda does not answer. Instead, she points at me. He is the one who started all of this, she says. He refused to follow the rules, and then he weaponized the system against me. I stay seated and do not react. The board president looks at me, then back at Linda. The resident in question followed proper procedures and provided documentation to support his complaints, she says. That is not weaponizing the system. That is using the system as intended. Linda's lawyer leans over and whispers something to her. She nods, then turns back to the board. I am requesting that the board reverse my removal and reinstate me as treasurer, she says. If you do not, I will pursue legal action for wrongful termination. The board president does not hesitate. Your request is denied, she says. The board voted unanimously to uphold your removal based on the audit findings. If you choose to pursue legal action, that is your right, but the decision stands. Linda stands there for a moment, then picks up her coat and walks out. Her lawyer follows. The room is silent for a few seconds, then someone starts clapping. It spreads quickly until half the room is applauding. The board president raises her hand. Let us keep this professional, she says, but she is smiling slightly. The meeting continues with routine business, and I leave halfway through because I have to get to work. Over the next 2 weeks, the fallout continues. The plow company sends a letter to every resident apologizing for the service disruptions caused by the expired contract and offering a discount on private driveway clearing for the rest of the season. The new vendor starts clearing snow more efficiently and actually comes back to remove ice berms when they leave them. The group chat becomes a normal neighborhood communication tool instead of a public shaming board. People post about lost pets, recommendations for local services, and reminders about community events. It feels like a different neighborhood. 3 weeks after the hearing, I get a certified letter from Linda's attorney. It is a settlement offer. Linda agrees to drop any legal claims against the board in exchange for the board agreeing not to pursue further action regarding the financial irregularities. The letter also includes a personal note to me. Linda has agreed to issue a formal retraction of all allegations made against you in association communications, and she will provide a written apology for the unauthorized tow attempt and the improper fines. In exchange, you agree not to pursue any civil claims against her personally. I read it twice, then call Jason. What do you think, I ask. He laughs. Take it, he says. You already won. Getting a written apology is just icing. I sign the settlement and send it back. A week later, I receive a letter from Linda. It is short and stiff, clearly written by her lawyer, but it says what it needs to say. I acknowledge that I issued fines and initiated enforcement actions against you without proper authority. I apologize for the inconvenience and distress this caused. All allegations of non-compliance have been retracted, and your record with the Glacier Point Reserve Association is clear. I fold the letter and file it with the rest of my evidence. It is over. Spring comes slowly to Fairbanks, but when it finally arrives, the neighborhood transforms. The snow melts into rivers that run down the streets, and the ice berms collapse into slush. I keep working night shifts and I keep my doorbell camera running, but there are no more notices taped to my door and no more threats in the group chat. The new board president sends a newsletter every month with transparent budget updates and clear explanations of rule changes. The compliance process is overhauled so that all fines require board approval before they are issued. And residents have a right to appeal to an independent arbitrator if they disagree with the decision. One Saturday in April, I am washing my car in the driveway when Jason walks over. "Did you hear about Linda?" he asks. I shake my head. "She moved," he says. "Sold her house last week and left town. I do not know where she went, but she is gone." I nod and keep scrubbing. "Good," I say. He grins. "You know, people are still talking about that hearing. You became a legend." I laugh. "I just kept receipts," I say. He shakes his head. "You did more than that. You showed people they do not have to put up with bullies, even when the bully has a clipboard and a title." That evening, I sit on my front porch with a beer and watch the sunset. The sky turns orange and pink, and the air smells like wet earth and melting snow. My phone buzzes and I see an email from the property management company. The subject line says "Compliance Audit Results." I open it and skim through the summary. The audit identified systemic issues with oversight and accountability within the Glacier Point Reserve Association Board. Recommendations include mandatory training for board members, quarterly financial reviews, and the implementation of a resident ombudsman position to handle complaints. All recommendations have been adopted by the board effective immediately. I close the email and set my phone down. It feels like the neighborhood finally has a chance to function the way it was supposed to all along. A month later, I get a text from the tow truck driver. "Hey, I know this is random, but I wanted to let you know that the company used your case as a training example. We did a whole session on how to verify authorization and how to refuse improper requests. You probably saved a lot of people from getting screwed over." I text back a thank you and he sends a thumbs up emoji. It is a small thing, but it feels significant. The ripple effect of standing up to Linda did not just fix my situation. It changed policies, it protected other residents, and it forced a company to take a hard look at how they were being manipulated. Summer arrives and the neighborhood is unrecognizable. People are outside more, kids are playing in the streets, and the group chat is full of friendly messages. The new board holds a community barbecue in the park and almost everyone shows up. I go and end up talking to half a dozen residents who thank me for pushing back against Linda. One woman tells me she was about to sell her house because the HOA stress was too much, but now she feels like she can stay. A man tells me he was fined 3 times in 1 month for violations he did not commit, and he was ready to sue the association until the audit cleared everything up. I shake hands and accept the thanks, but I keep saying the same thing: I just kept receipts. You can do it too. By the time fall comes around, I have been living in Glacier Point for 2 years and it finally feels like home. The HOA is functional, the rules are enforced fairly, and there is no one lurking around with a clipboard looking for ways to fine people. I still work night shifts and I still clear my own snow, but I do it without worrying that someone is going to show up at 6:45 in the morning with a tow truck and a made-up rule. The neighborhood is quiet in the good way, not the oppressive way. People wave when they drive past and no one is afraid to use their snowblower or put up Christmas lights or park in a guest spot. One evening in October, I am walking back from the mailbox when I see the board president pulling up. She rolls down her window and waves. "Hey," she says. "I wanted to let you know that we are putting together a year-end report, and your case is going to be featured as an example of effective resident advocacy. We are hoping it will encourage other people to speak up if they see problems." I nod. "That sounds good," I say. She smiles. "You changed this place," she says. "Do not underestimate that." She drives off and I stand there for a moment, then head inside. I think about everything that happened, from that first morning when Linda showed up with a tow truck to the settlement letter and the written apology. I think about the spreadsheet, the doorbell footage, the tow driver's statement, and the plow company email. I think about Jason showing up at the hearing and the board members who actually listened. I think about the lawyer letter that forces a retraction and a refund, the HOA canceling the vendor relationship tied to the abuse, and Karen's staged photos getting used against her. I think about the moment the neighbor fact-checked her instantly when she tried to repeat her fake quiet hours rule in front of witnesses. Every piece mattered. Every receipt counted. And every time I stayed polite, I made it harder for her to paint me as the problem. The final piece of the story came 3 months ago, when I got a friend request on social media from someone I did not recognize. I accepted it and immediately got a message. "Hey, I do not know if you remember me, but I was one of the people Linda targeted before you. I moved out last year because I could not deal with the constant harassment. I just heard what happened and I wanted to say thank you. If I had known someone was going to stand up to her, I would have stayed and fought too." I replied and we ended up talking for an hour. She told me about the notices Linda left at 2 a.m., the fines for snow that had not even fallen yet, and the threats to report her to code enforcement for violations that did not exist. She said she spent 6 months fighting it before she gave up and moved. When I told her about the audit and the settlement, she started crying. "I am so glad someone finally stopped her," she wrote. "I wished I had been brave enough." I told her it was not about bravery. It was about documentation and persistence. She thanked me again and we have stayed in touch ever since. I look back now and realize that the whole thing could have gone the other way. If the tow driver had not refused Linda's order, my car would have been impounded and I would have missed work. If Jason had not shown up at the hearing, I would have been fighting alone. If the board members had not been willing to listen, the audit would never have happened. But all those pieces fell into place because I did not give up, and I did not let Linda intimidate me into silence. I stayed polite, I kept receipts, and I trusted that the truth would matter if I could get it in front of the right people. The neighborhood is better now. The HOA is functional, the rules are clear, and no one is afraid to shovel their driveway at 6:45 in the morning. That is the real victory. Not the refund check or the written apology or the fact that Linda moved away. The real victory is that the system works again, and residents do not have to choose between their homes and their sanity. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.